my files on this. So this is easier for me to store everything. And this is a pretty nice way of doing it. And, you can make notes while you're doing it too. So, I just go into my files, and done, go to my last one, which is today, and, you can scribble the notes that you take with you from this. Yeah.
Y'all did the first place. Well, I was not there. They did. Things that put my son to
Mr. Jonathan?
my daughter graduated. She did online. She didn't expect her. Him, yeah.
All right, good morning, everybody. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. First thing, we do have a quorum. We're absent a couple of folks, but Stacy will make note of the absentees here later, but we do have quorum, so we'll get going. Our first order of business is the adoption of the agenda as presented. Give everyone a minute to run through the agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to modify the agenda to swap the new business cases as applicant Lillard is not present.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Nichols. So we will swap the order with Mr. Okerson going first.
Move to approve as amended.
All right, the motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda as presented with the change of swapping the case numbers. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Let's go on to approve the minutes from the January 6th meeting, and I'll abstain since I was not here.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
All right, the motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes from the January 6th, 2026 meeting as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We'll go ahead and get into the new business. And I'm going to take a little bit of an audible here and just kind of outline. I know we only have one applicant present right now, but just kind of go over the purpose and the intent of this meeting. And it's an informal exploratory meeting really to help the applicants explore the process going into the Planning Commission, and then ultimately, if it gets there, the Board of Supervisors vote. So we're here to answer questions and make sure that you're equipped with all the answers you need going into this political process. The other thing I'd like to do, since we do have several new faces here, including some stakeholders, we haven't done this before, but just go through and do quick introductions for everybody, for the applicant and all of us in the room, if that's okay with everybody. Perfect. Mr. Snyder, you want to start your way and we'll work, I guess, counterclockwise?
Sure. Hi, good morning. I'm Mike Snyder. I'm one of the supervisors.
I think that's good for this one.
Okay, Nancy Sharman, I'm also Board of Supervisor.
Brian Gordon, Deputy County Administrator.
Alan Nichols, Planning and Zoning Administrator.
And Zachary Whitman, I chair this meeting, but I'm a planning commission member as well.
Jamie Wilkes, County Building Official.
We'll go to our VDOT stakeholders here in the front row.
Matt Machadi, ARE, Charlottesville.
Thanks, Matt.
Carrie Shepherd, VDOT Charlottesville.
Thanks, Gary. You're practically staff, so. I said you're practically staff.
I'm Claire Mangum. I'm with the Virginia Department of Health here in Madison County.
Emily Bourdon, also with VDH here in Madison.
Greg Cave, Chief Animal Control Officer.
And we got one more.
Come on, Stace.
I'm Stacy Meredith. I'm the permit tech in the Building and Zoning Office, and I guess I'm the secretary for the meeting.
She keeps us on track with everything, so thanks, Stacy. Well, thank you very much, and we'll go ahead and get into your case then. So first case of the day, given the new order. Evans Okerson, on behalf of property owner Janine Jensen, has requested an exploratory meeting for a change of use permit to convert a building that is currently being used as a business office into a residence for her son on property identified as Madison County Tax Map 55-24 and further identified as 27 Jack's Shop Road. The subject parcel is 3.567 acres and is zoned B1. Madison County Code of Ordinance, Appendix 1, Articles 8-2-1 and 8-2-2 does not allow a single-family detached residence in the B1 zoning district by right or by SUP, but does allow for multifamily dwellings or a single-family dwelling in the main business structure as a secondary use. Madison County Code of Ordinance, Appendix 1, Article 14-7 allows for an application to be made for a use not specified. After a public hearing, the Planning Commission can recommend to the Board of Supervisors to amend the ordinance to allow the use by right or by SUP, rezone to allow the use, or to deny it. Mr. Nichols, you want to get into this one?
Yeah, so just to frame the conversation here, this is a property that's currently Mad Arts that many of you are familiar with at the southern end of the county. The property is zoned business, and what the applicant is proposing is taking this building here, number, I think it's 27, it's hard to see from my seat here, because there's two primary buildings there on the property used for the business. And he'd like to take one of them and make a dwelling out of it. So our ordinance, in this case, has two provisions that may apply, and it's not entirely clear. 8-2-1 allows, by special use permit, an apartment house in existing structures, and 8-2-2 is apartment or dwelling located in the main business structure as a secondary use and lived in by an owner, caretaker, or tenant, or a single-family detached dwelling if such dwelling was lawfully built prior to the date of special use application. So, between the two, it seems to me that this would be permitted as a special use if approved by the Board of Supervisors under the 8-2-2. But it's a little muddy the way it's written, so I'm open for discussion on the matter, especially, let's say, from our planning commissioner and our supervisors here and how you all interpret that, because we'll definitely unpack it once an application is filed going forward. But other than that, it seems to be a pretty straightforward application, in that the building that is depicted on the screen here is what is being proposed to be converted to a dwelling.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. And before we probably get into some of your cases, and I guess probably VDOT as well, since we may be increasing occupancy, my first question always, has precedent been set on anything similar to this in the county before on rezoning in B1, or is this a first?
There certainly are a number of non-conforming ones. I think provision is in here, let me reference it, but for a second floor, like over a business. And we have some of that. There would be more of this in town, but of course, town does their own zoning. So there easily could be some around that we don't know about or that's non-conforming. But I don't know any history where we've, in the recent past, had any applications for this.
Okay. I was thinking one of the restaurants seems to have a back door, and it looks like there's occupancy in an apartment above one of the restaurants in town. But again, knowing it was town, I
Yeah,
don't
so
know.
in town, they do their own, and I'm not entirely familiar with their regulations.
Thank you. I guess before we probably get into questions for Mr. Nichols or the applicant, would you like to say anything on your part on the case, or if there will be any updates or modifications to the structure itself that may pertain Jamie?
Oh, yes, we would have to redo some of the electric, install a central HVAC unit, add a different door to it. And everything, the rooms are already divided within the structure, so we don't have to do any structural wall movement or anything along those lines. We do have to take up a small section of concrete to be able to access the main plumbing drain line, and that would go back. So that's the only reason for that, is to add a bathtub and a shower. So other than that, everything is pretty much straightforward, I hope.
Question in terms of occupancy on the property now with the current businesses. There are no other folks living there full-time, or there are?
That's correct. There's no one is living on the property.
And then I'm guessing VDOT, in terms of access, do y'all have, what's your current entrance?
The
zone
access
does?
for this particular building is on Jack Shop Road, 27 Jack Shop.
Okay, yeah, I guess I'll take it to VDOT, being that it's a commercial B1 zoning, correct? And it's got an entrance on Jack Shop and then an entrance off of 29.
I believe there are two entrances, yes,
Yeah.
at least.
Any guidance for y'all if it becomes, see, it's not residential, it's still B1 with a special use?
Exactly.
Yeah. How would, I'll just throw that to y'all.
Just click a little button up. There you go.
We would just need to review the entrance to make sure it's appropriate. In this case, yes, it would be commercial entrance standards.
Okay. So that's one thing probably to consider, even though it may be a residence on the property, you're probably still going to fall under the commercial regulations from VDOT, which y'all have been in existence forever. I imagine you have it, but.
I would hope it's,
Yeah.
the driveway's been there forever,
Yeah,
so.
especially with the two entrances, but,
The turning lane.
oh, and the turn lane, okay, yeah.
So I can't imagine with the turning lane going into that property that they would have to do a whole lot, because it's going to roll up, and then this is here it goes. The first building here, and the one subject to that is behind the little shed here. So would you all anticipate you need any changes? Just rough guess, I know you want to see it, but.
I mean, from here, it looks like it's appropriate and wouldn't need any modifications. But we would want to just verify that, especially, and the one on Jack Shop Road, you said this is the second one?
Yes.
But, I mean, from here, it looks appropriate. I doubt you would have to do much to, if anything, to upgrade it.
Here's your second entrance.
Y'all probably still be using the one off of Jack Shop Road coming in there, right?
Yes, for the residents, it would be off of the Jack Shop Road.
Jamie, any questions or thoughts before we probably get into the political side of it?
Well, I was looking at our records when this came up, and I think I found where you converted it from, it was like a barn or something, or shed.
Excuse
Into
me,
this-
that was before my time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was originally a garage, and then my wife had it converted into,
That was like 2011, right, in that range? So-
probably, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, because I found where they did it, they permitted it and all that, and they actually issued a certificate of occupancy for B use, like a business.
Okay,
So in the building code world, you do what they call a change of occupancy from B to a residential dwelling, R5. And, you know, there's different things involved in that. One of them is working with the health department to ensure that the septic system will meet the requirement for the dwelling.
she had a septic system put in for 150 people. planning for the future for an event type thing at Mad Arts, if that ever came up. So the septic system
Well,
is more.
yeah, you still have to get approval through the health department.
Right, right.
And they would give us something saying, yeah, whatever
Okay.
drain field's appropriate, and then we'd go through with, like, we'd need plan, like floor plan and, plumbing, electrical, mechanical,
Right.
They're all gonna be all different than what a business would have. That's pretty much what I have.
Y'all were brought up, and Blair, do y'all want to go further? I mean, I'm sure this is on record, but will it require?
Your microphone,
Okay.
please.
Yes, Jamie just, I think, showed us the OP, it was for 250 gallons per day. But regardless, you just have to get an OSC to come out to evaluate the system, and it would be a change of use for a minor modification. Yeah, so how many bedrooms?
2.
2, okay. So, yeah, I mean, if you say it was designed for, a larger system, it shouldn't be an issue, but they'll just evaluate, and it'll be a minor modification, because it's a change of use, and just to make sure the system is functioning well, and make sure it can support what you're proposing.
Okay, and you said the OSC, meaning?
They're basically a soil scientist, and they come out to look at the system.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And then you would just submit the permit. It's a minor modification permit.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks, Claire. Well, I think that's everything from the stakeholder standpoint. So I guess, yeah, Alan, back to where this falls under the ordinances, and I guess Mike
Well,
and
Mr.
Nancy.
Whitman, I'll put one to you on this one, because the way that I see it, how do you interpret the 8-2-2 on this one? Because we have two paths. If we agree that it fits what the applicant would like to do in one of these two provisions, then we'll move forward on one of those. If we do not agree, and we think this is a different use, then I will prepare this in such a way to go to the planning commission that is a use not provided for, to which you can apply for that. It really doesn't change the applicant's position at all. It's how we process this. So that's why I'd like your feedback, and probably the supervisors as well.
I'll take a first stab, but I think it does fall under 8-2-2, meaning one, who's, I think it'd be pretty simple for them to say this could be the primary business residence. I mean,
That works for me.
Yeah, who's to say that it's one building versus the other? It's the same address, but that's probably more loophole looking at it than anything. So I don't know, Mike, Nancy, do y'all have a different take that this?
Yeah, is this, this is still gonna be used as a business, kinda, or no?
No, sir, that building will be converted strictly into a residence.
Okay.
Yes,
Because I know
sir.
it says in here where he was doing some business for,
He does IT work for my wife's company and also for Mad Arts. But as far as that building goes, it'll just be his residence. There won't be any public coming in and out, et cetera, so.
I was thinking if it was gonna remain of some kind of a business, that it could be an addition of uses and not a change of use.
I mean, on the property, you've got the two structures that are up here on the screen.
Right.
The business is still operating on the same property. It just has a separate structure that they want to convert to use as a dwelling for somebody who's working in the business. So how do you view it? Because you've got 821 that says apartment house in existing structure only, or apartment or dwelling located in the main business structure as a secondary use.
With a single-family detached dwelling, if lawfully built, yeah. I mean, to me, I think it's wrapped up either an owner or caretaker in 8-2-2, or a detached dwelling built lawfully prior to the date of the SUP application.
Well, but so, when I look at that, what I see is it exists as a single-family dwelling now, as like in a non-conforming capacity.
non-conforming, yeah.
And it's not a non-conforming dwelling now. It's not a dwelling at all. That's why the gentleman is applying.
Well, 821, that last word only would disqualify that one, in my opinion.
Well, it says in existing structures. It is an existing structure. It would be converted to an apartment, so to speak.
So still non-conforming, but convertible?
But like I say, if we disagree, that's fine. We'd say we would prepare it in a use not provided for to be considered by the planning commission to adopt as either a by right use, a special use, a consideration for a different zoning district. The 4 criteria provided in the ordinance, I think it's 14, 17. Give me just a minute.
I mean, I
1471.
personally agree with A2 too, you know, that's the way I look at it, so.
You said you see it, you think it falls under 822?
Yes.
I'm comfortable with that.
Yes.
You all agree?
And kind of the way I look at it, does structure mean individual building, or does it mean the structure of the business itself? So if it means structure of the business itself, then it absolutely fits.
I think that's a reasonable way to interpret that.
Because I'm just wondering if it is just your family-owned business and that this is a relative that you're having rent this property or live in this property, but I'm just hoping, wondering that in time to come, is there gonna be a situation where they're gonna wanna divide that house out from the business, and then what happens?
Supervisor Sharman, if I may address that, let me pull it up here so we're looking at it together. I'll find it, I promise. Aha, that's why. So, oh my gosh, I'm struggling today with the tech. Here we go. So the 822 lived in by an owner, caretaker, or tenant. So it would cover a non-family tenant under that purview, if we agree that's where it fits.
Well, I'm just making sure that this is gonna stay within that plot of business, within that, it's not gonna come back and wanna be rezoned and separated out from the business.
It would be a separate application if they wanted to rezone or to subdivide that property. Additionally, I mean, the entire property is zoned business now.
It does have a shared well with the main Mad Arts building and the same is for the septic system as well. So they're all, so in other words, if you were to try to subdivide it out, which is not something we're planning on doing, this will stay in the family, so.
Within the business, that's fine.
I guess, Mr. Nichols, if it is converted to a livable dwelling, could it then become a short-term rental? Should said applicant
Short-term rentals are not uses provided for in this
in
district.
B1, correct? Okay. So then even if that dwelling was to be used for commercial use or for profit, it would have to come either for rezoning
Just a
or?
minute, it's 20-160A. I'm going to look at it and we're going to make sure, but I'm
Okay.
99% sure that it is not provided in the B1 district. Short-term rentals are not provided in the B1 district.
Okay.
C1, A1, R1, R2.
Okay. So then kind of to follow up with Ms. Sharman, it'd be difficult for them to use this for anything other than a residence of a business.
It would need, if it were going to expand in use, and this is something that I would certainly recommend as a part of the permitting, that you permitted for a single unit. It does not give you carte blanche to go and make a new apartment community on this property. I don't think that's the intent, but if we're worried about transferring this down the road somewhere, that would simply be a condition that the board could impose upon this, this permit that, shall not exceed the 1 unit as presented in the application.
So I'm curious, some of y'all think this fits in that 8-2-2? Is that the opinion?
Correct. It's mine. I'll speak for that.
You do think?
I do
fits in
think that,
there?
that Alec, we could
Because
proceed.
when I read it, I get the exact opposite opinion.
On 8-2-2?
Well, it says in the main business structure, and this is a separate structure, clearly separate. But that's, that's just the way I read it.
Yeah. And that's my interpretation. When I said somewhat loophole, is that, who's to say what is the main business structure? Is it?
I'm gonna say it's the big business structure. I mean,
And that's why we're having this
yeah,
conversation.
I mean,
Because I don't, we'll be transparent and open
Yeah.
about what it says and what we think it means. And if we want to go down this path, that's fine. If we need to go down a different path, I'll just frame the application a different way.
I think if it's just because I think structure, like you were referencing, could be the entire property versus, I mean, someone says to me, someone's
That's
business.
why I was asking if it was gonna be used as the business.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, I'm almost gonna have to agree with Jamie, to be quite honest. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna read it the way you read it.
That's the way I read it, but I'm not the zoning guy either, but I'll tell you the building stuff, but just when I read it.
I'm just one small part of this process.
Well, we don't have probably any other questions then in terms of what's going to happen to the, you're satisfied with what they would do in order to meet the
Well, if it-
change?
If
So-
it goes through zoning, whichever process to the planning commission and the board of supervisors, and if they approve it, then it comes to me, and we would work with the owner to convert it to a dwelling,
Yeah.
which is a business. But it's gotta get to that point first, otherwise there's no point in even talking to me.
Yeah.
See, if we do not think that it fits in one of these two provisions here, I'm going to advise the applicant to accomplish this, to provide for, to apply for a single-family dwelling as an accessory to the business. And and the planning commission would consider that for the B1 district while evaluating this proposal. And then when it gets to, the board, the joint meeting, they'll make a proposal to either, adopt that as a use by right or a special use. And, we'll hear it concurrently with the application for that use. So it'll be a zoning amendment, a zoning text amendment decision, concurrent with the application.
Am I understanding this correctly, that if we were to want to convert part of the Mad Arts main building into a residence, that wouldn't be an issue at all?
Just refer that.
That's the way I read it.
That's
Okay,
what we all agree, yeah.
all right. Thank you.
Still with an SUP, correct?
Oh, I would recommend that it be a special use.
If he's going the route to convert a room in the larger
Exactly,
building.
because at that point, if you're looking at a use not provided for, you're gonna consider that for the entire district.
Exactly.
For every B1 parcel. So I would say make it
Yeah.
as a special use, because in some parcels, this is not a problem at all. And on other parcels, it might be. And so, a case-by-case basis is probably a reasonable approach to take,
Oh, Jamie's got the-
especially given, statewide housing goals these days.
Mr. Nichols, if you would you scroll to the photo of the unit itself?
I will.
And
Just a minute, I gotta find my cursor. Here we go.
And Jamie's leaving, he's the one I think I was gonna ask the question to.
Jimmy, back in a minute.
The other thing that I think I've heard before is if a breezeway is connected from a auxiliary building to the main building, it is then considered one building? Is that not to go down loophole, rabbit hole world here, but,
The short answer is it depends.
okay,
And for some of that stuff, that's a conversation I'd rather have offline.
okay, yeah.
So may I, real quick? So depending on how you read this, I mean, if you, 822, is the apartment or dwelling located in the main structure, blah, 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 until you get to the word or. Now, is that in its own, and then or starts at a single-family detached dwelling? And that's kind of what I think you were trying to say, Alan. Could that not just be worded that way?
Well, it says, or a single-family detached dwelling if such dwelling was lawfully built prior to the date of the special use permit application.
Which it
It's not a
was.
dwelling now. But it's not a dwelling, it's a storage building.
Let's see.
But I'm well aware that nobody in the room wrote this particular ordinance, so we're just trying to navigate it. I certainly will not take credit for it.
Agreed.
Sorry, a little blood sugar.
No worries.
I don't have a problem with it either way. I mean, to be quite honest, I mean, I'm okay with it, just wording it out.
The only thing I'm concerned about is that with respect to the applicant and his process,
time.
I would like him to go through the process and get an answer one time and do one application, pay one fee. So I don't care how we structure it. I doubt the applicant cares how we structure it, as long as, you know, the thing he wants to do is considered. I don't want to speak on your behalf, but I assume that's your position. You just want to do the thing. So you know, I would hate to get to the planning commission phase and we unpack some of the nuances and we reach an impasse for the application as it's presented, and then the applicant wastes time and has to start over and considering it a different way. So that's why we're having a little bit more of a nuanced ordinance conversation today than we usually do.
And I guess looking forward for us setting a precedent here, a single family, if we go, I hate to say this, probably the zoning text amendment route, single-family dwelling as an accessory, that would, in my opinion, be utilized probably more by other residents or owners of B1 property.
To be fair, we don't have a ton of B1 in the county.
Yeah.
There's just not that much
Just not-
there.
Yeah, that's why I was looking at the map
But when you
here.
get somebody who wants to rezone property to B1, you will have another thing to consider as a possibility of a potential consequence of that rezoning
If we
and
have the
use.
zoning text amendment, yeah.
Which is why I definitely think you should keep it as a special use and not as a by right. You know, I have heard concerns from other interested parties about, you know, mandates for multifamily housing
Yeah, yeah.
in business districts. It's a separate matter to this particular application, but it is consequential when we talk about adapting these uses. So,
That's what, it's when, single-family dwelling, could a B1 have multiple single-family dwellings then, if we went the text amendment route? Let's say this particular, I mean, all the sheds, let's just say all those sheds could, they're hooked up to septic and electric, and Jamie approves it, could we have 12 single-family?
I would have to hear, all right, let's structure this two ways. In Madison, I would be hard pressed to allow that, because we don't have a lot of B1 that exists now. You'd have to apply to rezone it for multifamily use. There's not like large parcels of B1 sitting around that are not utilized. You would have to, but say, so you'd be hearing these things case by case anyway. So I would say multifamily provision is a no for B1. However, you should be aware that, and forgive me, I cannot quote the number of the bill, but there is a bill that just passed the House this session that adopts multifamily as a by right use in the business district. It's not been signed, but that is a thing that is likely coming. So we will have to be careful in how we create B1 parcels in the future for multifamily, you know, in this imposition of higher density housing in our rural communities. But for this particular case, I say I don't have a problem bringing forward an application for a use not provided for a single dwelling unit, attached, detached, semi-detached, whatever, you know, in this district. A single use, I think, is okay because it meets individual circumstances. It also would probably be beneficial to us in the long term in adapting that use, because we have certain businesses that operate in the property, or in the certain businesses that operate in the county that grow from a home occupation, you know, let's say to a business as they get bigger. There's a house on the property, somebody may or may not live in it. So adding that as a use may facilitate other positive changes in the future. It is a wonderful thing to be debated in the future.
Let me, last hypothetical on the proposed legislation. Multifamily, if they divided it and put 2 rooms in, potentially in 3 months, he could do that by right and wouldn't even have to worry about a permit if they wanted to subdivide the, or,
You know, if he wants to expand the use beyond what he's providing for here, he'll have to come back for another public hearing.
even if the multifamily built from the house passes, that it's by right.
Let's cross that bridge when we get there.
If it passes. Well, I mean, I'd love to make it fit in the 8-2-2, just because we could go special use permit today.
Well, Mr. Chairman of the Planning Commission, you'll have to sell it.
I don't know if I can. Any other, Nancy, what do you think, Mike? Yeah.
goes with the 8.2.
Yeah.
Well, if not, and we have a hard time with that, that's perfectly acceptable, and we'll develop a, you know, a new use for the planning commission and board to ultimately consider.
I'll ask this, Mr. Nichols, and tell me to hush if we need to offline. Impact in terms of time for the applicant going one way versus, well, I don't want to say going one way or the other. If we, it seems like the consensus right now, if we did a straw poll, was to go use is not provided for and do a zoning text amendment. What is the time frame for that?
It would be heard concurrently. So as we're considering this use, we'd be considering
Okay.
his application at the same time.
So should have no negative
So,
impact to time.
yeah, the
either way.
consequence would be that if the board decides that they do not want to adopt this as a use,
Yes.
it doesn't fit with what's here, and they say no, then the application is denied at the same time as the, you know,
Yes.
as the potential
As the
zoning
ordinance
text
change.
amendment. Yeah, it's outlined in, give me just a minute, 14-7, maybe? 14-7, I'll put it up here.
Apologies to all the stakeholders getting the crash course in ordinances.
know,
here,
right?
too.
Thank you all for giving us your time. It's 14-7. Here we go. So the planning commission would hear it, and they would decide one of the four options. Amend the ordinance to allow the use within the zone by right, amend the ordinance to allow the use within the zone with a special use permit, rezone the area to allow the use, or deny the use in that zone. So those would be the four options considered, you know, recommended by the planning commission and ultimately decided by the Board of Supervisors. And if the planning commission can't figure it out, the board is going to assume it's a recommendation for approval.
For approval. Mike, Nancy, having read that text, still, still going the use is not provided for, is that? I think we seem to be leaning that way.
And we will prepare an application that way.
Okay. Do we need to make a motion and have it advance as such, or would this be, since it's different
I
or
would
exploratory?
say that your motion would be to recommend the application, or that the applicant move forward to the planning commission with a new use.
Yes.
So I would say, and I will coordinate with the applicant to prepare that application in the appropriate fashion.
May I just one more time? And so just starting back over again, real quick, why does 821 not work? I mean,
Apartment
is that
house-
maybe not a better option than 822?
Let me see here. There is a reason.
There's an existing structure, so we're putting an apartment house in an existing structure.
Because apartment house, in our definitions, says C dwelling, multifamily. So it implies more than one unit
Apartment house is more than one unit?
by our definitions. Because it references multifamily here.
Pretty much everywhere it references that. Building code does too. A single-family dwelling is not an apartment. It's gonna be multifamily. That's
Of course,
consistent.
it's just dwelling multifamily. I bet it's under dwelling here.
And did you say this was gonna be divided out, or it is already divided out? Okay.
I have a hard time looking at that. I gotta look at it.
And the main house is gonna stay the main business.
But Mr. Schneider, here we go. Because it says C dwelling multifamily, and then I'm gonna pull that one up really quick. And we're just proposing a single use here. And then dwelling, multiple family, a structure arranged or designed to be occupied by more than one family living independently of each other. So by that, you can make 2 units, which seems silly. So I'm open to other ideas. I'm open to other ideas as well, if you've got other thoughts on the matter on how to proceed. Ultimately, you'll have to vote on it.
I mean, it sounds like we probably need to address the text of multifamily, doesn't it?
Yeah, that and 100 others.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, if you want to do that,
Yeah,
let's
hang
say
the
we
carpenter.
can change, as an amendment to 821 and push it forward that way as a use. We can figure out a way to structure that. I'm comfortable with that, too. We are
When
splitting
we
hairs
could, there's a
because
path,
we're gonna consider
I think the
use.
path for the path of least resistance for the applicant, though, probably, my opinion, is to go the new use with the zoning text amendment if our two board members feel like.
This comes back into what we tried to do a couple of years ago, and is auxiliary dwelling unit that we kind of let die. That this was what that was all created for.
Well, I'll tell you what seems to make sense to me at this point is that we will, let's say, we would have the applicant apply for the use not provided for, and the proposed solution will be to just simply amend the 8-2-1 for the apartment house and existing structure to be one or more instead of two or more, which solves that problem, gives the applicant the avenue to apply for what he wants, and makes common sense.
How about, just
I would agree.
for future thought, how about if the 821 said apartment house or auxiliary dwelling unit? And I don't know if auxiliary dwelling unit fits B1 or not. But I'm just thinking if we were to ever change anything and to allow for future stuff.
And that,
And maybe we don't want that at all. It's just a quick thought that I had that might could work. And that would be an easy 2 or 3 word change.
I mean, what the applicant wants to do is less intense than
Yeah.
other things in here, so I think that makes sense. That or similar language to make that happen,
and then changing the definition of multifamily, getting into the,
indeed.
yeah.
So would you be changing the definition or just putting an asterisk, so to speak, on this particular?
I think that since this would be heard as a zoning text amendment to go along with the use, you just figure out where you put it. And instead of putting it as a new use, I think that a simple amendment in what exists probably fixes the problem to
For this.
address what the applicant wants to do, probably what the intent was when it was written,
Yeah.
just for
I
clarification.
was just thinking about by changing definition, you may come up with unintended consequences down the road in multiple other places.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to present it the way the applicant has told us. Here's what I want to do. And then the planning commission, let's say, can unpack how they want to recommend to proceed with that. And we can unpack some of those consequences.
Yeah, but Mike's right. I think it's silly to have apartment house as just as multi-only, because I'd say most rentals in this county are single-family and not
Indeed.
multi.
But you're blending districts.
And B1, yeah. Okay, then it sounds to me, then the course of action is still, for right now, for the applicant, is to go the new use route with a zoning text amendment, and then the planning commission and the board, as they see fit, so find the solution down the road if it presents itself.
We'll go forward.
Okay. Let's put it in a motion if someone is so kind and
Mr.
willing.
Chairman, I move that the applicant be advised to proceed with an application for a use not provided for, to then proceed to the planning commission.
Second.
All right. The motion has been made and seconded that the applicant present today will move forward with a new use not provided for that will go toward the planning commission at the next hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it passes. And we'll proceed to the planning commission.
To the applicant, let's say, we will touch base, let's say, in short order, and let's say, and then we will prepare the application accordingly. And depending on your timeline, we'll probably go forward in February to that workshop, so, in a couple weeks. So we'll touch base in a day or two.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Thank you,
very
sir.
much,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thank you for your time, too. All right, and I do not see that, anyone online? Nobody called in, Stacy? No, okay.
All right.
All right. All right, seeing that the second applicant is not present, I say we forego hearing that case today, or do you want to have comment on it?
Betsy, I will reach out to the applicant and see, Betsy, if she would like to go forward and reschedule or not. So, thank you, Mr. Cave, for coming. Betsy, I'm sorry for not, but got to do ordinance stuff today, so that's fun. So whatever you'd like to do, Mr. Chairman.
All right, then we'll just forego hearing that case until further notice from you, Mr. Nichols. Which brings us to public comment. Again, thank y'all for, the stakeholders for staying for this one. We got a little deep in the first case, but always fun to have a civics class, isn't it? Public comment then from anybody? Again, no one online? Anyone here? Everyone's ready to get home? All right, do we hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
All right, motion been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, there's no nays.